Welcome back to Unfiltered, Unspoken podcast. And we told you we're going to continue to share life experiences. We want to welcome another amazing guest, Mr.John. And boy, does he have a testimony to tell. And what we love about this is because when you're actually living it and going through it, we get people are in healing, but when we get people are really living it and still going through their struggles and triggers, it is even more amazing to show folks there are people going through this and you can heal. Mr. John, welcome to Unfiltered Unspoken podcast. If you could come up and tell my pleasure. If you come up and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then City Sid is going to kick off the first question.
Okay. Greetings to you as well, Sid. My name is stage name is Mr. John, but my real name is John Bivens, and I'm a retired Army veteran. Served 21 years in the Army and was involved in the war right after the World Trade Centers. And I saw a lot of death and destruction at the job that I did. And it really bothered me. It affected me in a way where I didn't want to live because I felt so guilty about being an instrument of allowing people to be killed by the maps that I provided to the war fighters. So war, it affects people differently. And briefly, my outlet just recently in October 2023, I started doing comedy and singing for healing. Am I healed? No, I'm not healed, but am I progressing with the help of Almighty God? I will say that without a shadow of a doubt. But I just want to let anybody out there know that, and I tell everybody on Facebook every morning, if you are struggling with mental health, please get some help. That's all I have for right now, subject to your questions.
Well, thank you again for being here with us. We definitely appreciate that for you being here and telling your story, your experience. So as we like to do and start with all of our guests, we always ask if what was your childhood like growing up, your house structure, and if you experienced any trauma in those adolescent years that may have led you to where you are now.
My upbringing was amazing. My mother was a educator, HBCU, Shaw, Penn State. My father was a retired Army veteran, very active in the community. My upbringing was amazing. I was the youngest, very spoiled, and my parents saw something in me that I didn't see. I mean, I did things that kids my age didn't do. I played ice hockey, uh, praise worship dancer in a Catholic church. Had a ventriloquist doll, rode a unicycle in high school. I was very different, and people tell me to this day that, man, you're really different what you do. I said, man, I've been this way for over 45 years. I've been entertaining the masses. This is nothing new to me, but I just enjoy putting a smile and singing, especially to mentally challenged people. I can't stop doing that because my oldest brother's mentally challenged. So I had an amazing upbringing.
That is wonderful to hear, and we get mixed with the upbringing, so it's good to hear when someone does have a good upbringing. I want to ask, besides the household, did you have any other traumas or things that you went through as a child, maybe in school?
No.
Oh, so you had a good. Okay.
I had an amazing upbringing. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I grew up in a place called Saginaw, Michigan. A lot of death and destruction up in there, but I lived on a different side of town, and so I just heard about those things. I was very. My family was they sheltered me a little bit like that.
Okay, well, take us into starting your journey into the Army.
Well, primary reason why I joined because of my father, and he was a World War II veteran, and I wanted to do what he did. I wanted to retire, and so I joined the Army in '83 and retired in 2004. I was a United States Army paratrooper. Served 21 years, Army instructor, recruiter, did a lot of things. I consider what God put in my life, I call them breadcrumbs. All because I said a prayer to God. I said, God, if you helped me to see what I see and hear in the natural with spiritual significance, I'd be most appreciative. So now, Demetri and Sid, I see life a little bit different. Um, I move different. And I know you know the feeling when you walk in a room, it feels like it's like I'm not trying to be funny and I'm not trying to be arrogant. It's like Wesley Snipes in the movie Blade when he walked and those people were saying, it's the day walker. When your light is shining, and though mine can get dim at times, but when your light is shining, they'll see it. Demetrius said they will see it and they'll know that you're different. And I thank God Almighty that I move way better than I used to be because I'm a work in progress. I'm medicated. I still see my psychiatrist going on 18 years, and I don't have a therapist anymore because she said there was nothing else she could do for me, and I don't have a problem with that because, to be honest with you, sitting on a couch for 45 minutes every Monday for 17 years is enough to talking about the same thing. When I told my psychiatrist, let me tell you something, doctor, I enjoy singing and making people laugh. And that's what I like to do. I can't work. I haven't worked since 2006. I get it. But this brings me joy. And he's told me, he said, that's what brings you joy, do it. So since October 2023, every day, Demetri, every day, singing and joking on Facebook, nonstop, without a break. I don't have a break. This is my therapy. So this is what I do. And it gives me a zenful moment. So that's what I do. It's my outlet.
Now, from what your dad may have influenced, or may have told you about his time in the military, was it anything that you actually imagined? Was it worse? What was your, thought process like in comparison to your lived experience in the military?
Are you asking me how my life was in the military?
No, more so, with things that you may have learned from your father, with him being in the military and his experience.
Oh, okay.
Was your experience anything that you may have imagined or dreamed of, or was it worse? Was it on brand? How was that for you?
Well, what I learned from my father was the discipline. When he called your name, one thing my father did not like to hear was what, huh, stuff like that. So once I came on board with it and joined the military, I understand why it was like that. So the discipline carried over once I was in there, and it was just he always spoke about the friends he had in there, the camaraderie, and I saw that. And I guess the biggest takeaway, Demetri, I had a sergeant major, and this dude was very acclaimed in the military. And he told me, he said, if you have 3 friends in your lifetime, you should be thankful. And I got to tell you, I'm probably less than 3, maybe 2. I mean, people that they're there when you're sick, they're telling you, hope you get better. Not those standoff, distant. I consider them some Job friends. They see you're declining, but they're not praying for you. They pretty much, some of them just can't. I don't want to say they can't wait for you to leave the earth, but man, there's a lot of people that aren't motivating and encouraging people in this world. There's more hate than love. So Mr. John can't stand a bully, and if you give me an opportunity later on, I will definitely do a set to bring that one home.
Okay. I was going to ask because you mentioned that a lot of your mental health issues started while you were in service. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the mental health issues started in the service?
Okay. I'll make it as brief and as less painful to me as I can. Okay, is that fair? Okay, when the World Trade Centers came down, I volunteered to go to fight in the war. The job that I had was I issued maps. Since I've been out long enough, it's not considered secret. But the maps were used for war fighters to plot missions. And as a result, I saw images of the aftermath, and it bothered me real bad. I felt to the point where I had several trips to the mental health place at this military base during the war. It was that bad. And I sought help instantly, sought help when I got back, got on medications in 2002, and I've been medicated. It's 2025, no breaks. Um, but it's not just the mental health. Uh, Demetrian said, I have a plethora of injuries that I sustained as a paratrooper in 82nd Airborne Division. I have three discs on my spinal cord in my neck. Requires me at times to wear a cervical collar, but I don't like wearing it because of the cervical myelopathy that I have. It causes me to pass out at times, and my breath becomes shallow. I gotta tell you, I know it's God, because to be able to at least be able to sing comfortably, I know it's Him. Um, I have a lot of stuff. I just a lot of physical impairments that I sustained, and I thank God, that I have the devices, the powered wheelchair and um, canes. I use two canes to ambulate at times because it's. I tell people, they ask me all the time, why you use two canes, and I try to tell. I ain't trying to be funny. I said, well, if I had three arms, I'd have three. But why you ask? It helps me to aerobic activity is rather amazing. When you're walking, every time you put it on the ground, your pecs, triceps, and all that, your core is getting an amazing workout. And so if you're walking around like that, it's amazing for you. And I never heard of anybody telling me to do that. As many times as I've been in water therapy, land therapy, in the Army, after I got hurt, contracted in the Middle East. I mean, I tried everything. Epidural injections is not a procedure, even back surgery. Um, I'm not one of those people that uh, how can I say it? You can see. Well, you can't too much see my injuries. My injuries are on CT scans and MRIs. You don't see it, but when you see me, you'll look at me like, "Man, this dude's in a bill of health," and that right there, that's just how people are, y'all. They only judge outwardly and have no clue about the invisible pain that a person is going through.
Definitely. What would you say um, was your biggest trigger coming from out of the military? What affected you the most, or caused you to have? Um,
Seeing,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry about that. Seeing people from Middle Eastern descent, big trigger, big trigger. I was a cutter, and I tried to explain to my doctor. I said, "Look, you don't understand. This having these people die." And I felt so guilty. It was an outlet. And he said, "Why you do it?" And I'm like, "It's euphoric. I can't explain it." And I thank God that He's delivered me from that. Um, I've been in institutions, and I've talked to people that are younger than me, and I could see the cuts on them. And I say, "You're a cutter," and we talk about it. They open up, and we make a conversation for some healing. But I tell you, uh, people see me and they don't know what I've gone through until I share that with them. And I have this statement that I call somebody, and I'll give you the scenario. I told a young lady that I tried to take my life 5 times. Her comeback was, "Why did you do that?" Well, I'm not trying to be funny, but I call somebody that asks me a question like that, I call them a shallow thinker. And the reason I call them a shallow thinker is because the how you have to envision this is, if you're in a swimming pool and you're in the shallow end, the people that are in the deep end, in the spiritual, they know that it's going to be turbulent waters and it may come over their head, but they know how to put their hand and call on help from God. Well, the shallow thinker, they have shallow thoughts. They don't think outside the box. So asking somebody, "Why would you take your life?" instead of, you're not thinking about doing it now, or are you getting help for it? I mean, let's be productive. And I told her, I said, do you have kids? I do. Talk to your kids. That's all I told her, because this mental health thing did not really hit home for me, as far as like people outside of other than me, until I read an account about a child that hung themselves, a very young child, and they didn't know what gender they were. But because of the bullying going on in the school, the child hung themselves. After I read that account I Googled it. Uh, I tell you, I am a strong mental health advocate, and I have a very serious. It's not a comedy set, even though people laugh. It's called Impactful, and it pertains to bullying. And I did it for my American Got Talent audition, though I didn't make it because they put me in comedy when I sung. But I'm still happy because God blessed me to come in the path on Mother's Day with Mervyn Mayo. He's an amazing gospel singer, and he was on season 19 of American Got Talent, and I couldn't believe it. But I'm just thankful that God puts people like dementia. I'm getting ready to say dementia. Lord have mercy.
Demetria.
Demetria and Sid. That slipped because this is mental health, and if there are people out there, and I know people that do have dementia, I'm just praying for you, because that is a serious disease, and there's no cure for that.
I want to ask, because you mentioned that you were put in psych wards. Can you tell us how many times you were put in psychiatric institutions? And
I'm not.
maybe, can you hear me?
I really don't. Yeah, I really don't want to just. I don't really want to disclose that information right there.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's go to attempting to take your life. Are you comfortable with talking about that?
Just people struggle. People struggle with things. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Just get some help. That's all I can tell somebody. Get some help.
Okay. Can you tell some ways that you got help?
Believe me. Okay, I'm on live here.
It doesn't matter. She's asking you questions. It's inappropriate, and I want you to get off.
Hey, Demetria.
Yes.
I really don't want to talk about